What if the best way to beat the world's rising heat wasn't some brand new high-tech gadget, but a collection of ancient ideas we've almost completely forgotten? It sounds a little crazy, right? In a world that feels like it's getting hotter every year, we've become totally dependent on a single power-hungry solution, the air conditioner. We spend billions fighting this constant humming, expensive battle against the sun. But what if the most brilliant ideas for staying cool weren't just invented, but have been sitting there for centuries, just waiting to be rediscovered? Ancient builders, from the sun-scorched deserts of Persia to the humid tropics of India, faced the same brutal heat we do today. But they had one massive disadvantage: no electricity. And yet they didn't just survive, they thrived. They engineered architectural marvels that could breathe, that cooled themselves, that created sanctuaries of comfort in the most punishing climates on Earth. These weren't just buildings, they were sophisticated, living machines designed in perfect harmony with nature. And now, they are inspiring a revolution in modern architecture, a return to a forgotten kind of genius. Today, we are peeling back the layers of time to uncover 10 of these lost building techniques. And these aren't just historical curiosities. They are a blueprint, a roadmap to a more sustainable and genuinely cooler future that could fundamentally change how we build and live in our warming world. Wind catchers. Engineering the wind. Our journey kicks off in the heart of the ancient Persian Empire, in cities like Yazd, Iran. Look up, and you'll see a forest of strange, elegant towers rising from the rooftops. These are the badgar, or wind catchers, and they are one of the most visually striking and seriously ingenious cooling systems ever devised. For centuries, these things have provided silent, totally passive air conditioning to homes and mosques, a testament to an incredible understanding of natural airflow. The problem they had to solve was huge. How do you make life not just survivable, but comfortable, in a desert with blistering temperatures and dusty air? The answer wasn't to fight the wind, but to harness it. A wind catcher is basically a tall, chimney-like tower on the roof with openings facing the wind. As the breeze blows, it's caught and funneled down a shaft into the living spaces below, creating a constant, gentle flow of air that can dramatically drop the indoor temperature. But the genius of the Persian wind catcher goes even deeper. In some of the most sophisticated designs, it works in tandem with another ancient marvel, the Qarnet. Qarnets are vast underground aqueducts, tunnels that carry cool water for miles. Some wind catchers were built directly over these systems. As the hot, dry desert air gets funneled down the tower, it passes over the cool water. This triggers powerful evaporative cooling. The air dumps its heat into the water, becoming significantly cooler and a little more humid before it even enters the home. The result is a refreshing, naturally conditioned breeze, all without a single moving part. In some designs, the tower even acts as a solar chimney. The side of the tower facing away from the wind heats up in the sun. This warms the air inside that part of the shaft, causing it to rise and exit, creating a pressure difference that actively pulls cooler air down into the building. It creates its own ventilation, even on still days. The rediscovery of this tech is profoundly relevant. As cities grapple with insane temperatures and strained power grids, architects are looking to the wind catcher for inspiration. Modern versions are being built into new buildings, like the prominent wind tower in the UAE's Masdar city, proving that ancient principles can anchor the cities of the future. The materials might be modern concrete and steel, but the core principle is identical to the one perfected thousands of years ago, engineering the wind itself. Thermal mass, the power of thick walls. From harnessing the air, we now turn to harnessing the power of the earth itself. Across totally different cultures, separated by thousands of miles and years, ancient builders came to the same elegant conclusion for brutal climates. Build thick. From the adobe pueblos of the American Southwest to the earliest mud brick homes of Mesopotamia, the principle of thermal mass was a cornerstone of comfort. The concept is deceptively simple, but incredibly effective. In a hot, dry climate, the biggest challenge is the wild temperature swing between day and night. A modern, lightweight house heats up fast, becoming an oven during the day, and cools down just as fast, turning into a fridge at night. Ancient builders understood this, and they used materials with high thermal mass like adobe, rammed earth, and thick stone to act as a climatic battery. Here's how it works. During the scorching day, The thick, dense walls soak up the sun's heat incredibly slowly. It takes hours for that heat energy to travel to the inner surface. By the time it finally starts to radiate into the home, the sun has set and the outside air is getting cool. The building then slowly releases that stored heat through the night, keeping the inside stable and comfortable. The next morning, the walls are cool again, ready to start the cycle. It's a remarkable thermal flywheel effect that smooths out the daily temperature extremes. The Pueblo peoples of the American Southwest were masters of this. They built their iconic dwellings from adobe bricks, sun-dried earth, water and straw. These thick walls weren't providing insulation in the way we think of it today. Their magic was in absorbing and slowly releasing heat, not just blocking it. They combined this with smart design, clustering buildings together and building under south-facing cliffs for natural shade during the high summer sun. Today, as we look for more energy-efficient designs, the wisdom of thermal mass is having a huge renaissance. Architects are rediscovering materials like rammed earth, not just because they're sustainable, but for their superior thermal performance. Modern homes are explicitly using massive stone and earth walls to regulate temperature passively, proving that sometimes the most advanced technology is the earth right under our feet. The art of shade. Ancient builders understood a fundamental truth that modern city planners seem to have forgotten. The easiest way to deal with the sun is to simply get out of its way. Before anyone dreamed of mechanical cooling, the most sophisticated climate control system was shade. And nowhere was this art more masterfully executed than in the dense maze-like cities of the Middle East, North Africa, and the Mediterranean. The design of these old cities was a brilliant and deliberate response to a scorching environment. Instead of the wide, sun-blasted avenues we build today, they were defined by a web of narrow, winding streets. This wasn't random. It was a strategy that evolved over centuries. The tall buildings on either side cast deep shadows for most of the day, keeping the ground and the walls cool. Walking through these shaded canyons was dramatically more comfortable, creating a cooler microclimate for the whole city. At the heart of the home itself was another genius shading device, the central courtyard. In traditional Islamic and Mediterranean architecture, houses looked inward, organized around a private, open-air courtyard. This space was the lungs of the house. During the day, the surrounding rooms stayed in deep shade. Fountains or pools were often placed in the center, and as hot air drifted in, it would be cooled by both the shade and the evaporating water. The courtyard also drove natural ventilation. As the sun heated the air in the courtyard, it would rise, pulling cooler air from the shaded rooms and streets into the house to replace it. At night, the process would reverse. The open courtyard would radiate heat out to the clear night sky, becoming a pocket of cool air that would then spill into the surrounding rooms. It turned the whole house into a self-regulating, breathing organism. The lessons here are profound. While you can cool a single building with technology, cooling a whole city requires smart urban design. The ancient model of compact shaded cities offers a powerful alternative to the heat island effect that plagues so many of our modern towns. Evaporative cooling. In the driest places on Earth, where the air is parched and the heat is relentless, ancient civilizations discovered a kind of thermal magic. They found that the very element they lacked, water, held the secret to creating incredible coolness. This is the principle of evaporative cooling, and ancient Egyptians, Persians and Indians mastered it to create oases of comfort. The science is beautiful, and it's the same reason you feel a chill after getting out of a swimming pool. When water evaporates, turns from a liquid to a gas, it needs energy. It pulls that energy as heat from whatever is around it. So as water evaporates, it actively cools the surface it's on and the air around it. It's a passive process that literally turns heat into a source of cooling. Ancient Egyptians used this in a really simple but effective way. They would hang wet reed mats over doorways and windows. As the hot, dry desert wind blew through the damp material, the water would evaporate, instantly dropping the temperature of the air coming into the home. It was basically a simple organic air conditioner. Persian architects, as we saw, integrated this into their more complex systems, channeling air from a wind catcher over a subterranean pool of water from a qanat. The resulting evaporation would cool and humidify the air, making it far more pleasant. But maybe the most breathtaking application is in India, with its spectacular stepwells, or baulis. These weren't just wells, they were inverted subterranean pyramids, grand architectural feats designed as community hubs and climatic refuges. Steps lead down multiple stories into the earth. The bottom of the stepwell, where the water was way cooler than the surface. The massive surface area of the water, combined with deep shade, created a huge zone of evaporative cooling. People could descend the steps to gather, socialize, and escape the oppressive heat in a naturally air-conditioned space. The modern relevance is immense, especially as a low-energy alternative to AC. Innovators today are taking cues directly from the past, like one team of architects who created a stunning installation of conical clay tubes. Water runs down the porous terracotta, cooling the air that passes through it, a direct echo of ancient water-cooling pots. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the best solution is to just add water. Mashrabia, the architectural veil. Throughout the Islamic world, from North Africa to India, you can find this distinct and beautiful architectural element, the Mashrabia. It's an intricate, ornate screen of carved wood latticework, usually projecting from the upper floors of a building. But the Mashrabia is so much more than decoration. It's a masterful, multifunctional device that cools, controls light, and ensures privacy, a perfect fusion of art and environmental science. Its primary job is to act as a climatic filter. The patterns aren't just for looks. They're designed to break up direct sunlight, turning a harsh glare into a soft, diffused glow inside. This dramatically reduces solar heat gain, while still allowing in plenty of natural light. Beyond shading, the Mashrabia is an expert at managing airflow. The small openings in the lattice allow breezes to pass through, providing constant, gentle ventilation. Some designs took this a step further. The name Mashrabia is actually thought to come from the Arabic verb to drink, referencing a small shelf built into the screen to hold a porous clay water jug. As air flowed through the screen and over the damp pot, it would be cooled by evaporation, delivering a subtly conditioned microbreeze into the room. Finally, the Mashrabia served an important social function. It allowed occupants to look out onto the public street without being seen, acting as an architectural veil that maintained privacy. The elegance of this ancient tech has not been lost on modern architects. The most famous modern interpretation is Jean Nouvel's Institut du Monde Art Divin in Paris. Its south facade is covered in metallic diaphragms that mimic Mashrabia patterns and mechanically open and close in response to sunlight. Then there are the Al-Bahar Towers in Abu Dhabi, with a dynamic computer-controlled shading system inspired directly by the Mashrabia. These buildings prove that the core principles, filtering light, enabling airflow, and creating a responsive barrier, are more relevant than ever. Solar orientation. Long before solar panels, ancient builders were already masters of harnessing the sun's energy. They didn't turn it into electricity, but they used its path across the sky as an invisible architectural tool. This is the science of passive solar design, and it's one of the most fundamental techniques for creating comfortable, energy-efficient buildings. The core principle is based on a simple fact. The sun's path is lower in the sky in winter and higher in the summer. By understanding this, architects could design buildings that welcomed the sun's warmth in cold months and rejected its heat in hot ones. The most common way to do this was to orient the main living areas and biggest windows to face south in the northern hemisphere. In the winter, the low-angled sun would shine directly through those windows, deep into the house, warming the floors and walls, materials with high thermal mass, as we've discussed. That stored heat would then be released slowly, keeping the house warm. It was a free, natural heating system. In the summer, when the sun is high overhead, the story changes. This is where the genius of the overhang comes in. Ancient builders in places like Greece and Rome would construct carefully sized roof overhangs or awnings above their south-facing windows. Because of the sun's high angle, these overhangs would completely shade the windows during the hottest part of the day, preventing any direct sun from getting in. The building was effectively wearing a sun visor. The ancestral Puebloans took this to another level. They famously built their cliff dwellings, like those at Masa Verde, under massive south-facing rock ledges. In summer, the high sun was blocked by the cliff itself, keeping the village in deep, cool shade. In winter, the low sun would stream in underneath the ledge, warming the stone structures. It was a perfect symbiosis of natural landscape and human design. This ancient wisdom is the absolute foundation of modern passive house design, reminding us that thoughtful design is the first and most important step to a truly efficient building. Underground dwellings. In some of the world's most extreme climates, ancient peoples found the ultimate refuge from the heat not by building up, but by digging down. By carving their homes right into the earth, they tapped into one of the most stable temperature sources there is, the ground itself. From the incredible subterranean cities of Cappadocia in Turkey to the cave dwellings in China, underground architecture offered a powerful solution to life on a volatile surface. The principle here is geothermal stability. While the air temperature can swing wildly, the temperature of the earth a few meters down stays remarkably constant. In many places, it hovers right around the local average annual temperature, a far more comfortable and predictable starting point than the extremes outside. By building underground, you are wrapping your home in a massive natural insulator. The most stunning example is Cappadocia. Here, entire cities were carved from soft volcanic rock. These weren't just caves, they were complex, multi-level communities with homes, kitchens, stables and chapels, all connected by tunnels. These dwellings stayed cool in the brutal summer and were protected from the freezing winter winds, all while being a defensible shelter. Today, architects are revisiting this idea. Modern earth-sheltered homes leverage the same principles but with contemporary tech. They often feature large south-facing windows on the exposed side to capture winter sun, while the other sides are burrowed into the earth. By using the Earth's thermal mass, these homes can dramatically slash their energy needs for heating and cooling, in some cases by 80% or more compared to conventional houses. The ancient impulse to seek shelter in the earth is re-emerging as a forward-thinking strategy for building homes that are deeply connected to their landscape. Chimney effect. Ventilation. So we've seen how ancient builders could catch the wind, but what did they do when there was no wind to catch? In the still, stagnant heat of a calm day, they harnessed another force of nature to create airflow, the stack effect, or chimney effect. It's the simple principle that hot air rises, and architects in hot climates, particularly in the Iranian desert, design buildings to exploit this with surgical precision. You've probably experienced the stack effect without realizing it. It's why smoke goes up a chimney and why the top floor of a house is often the warmest. Heated air becomes less dense and rises. If you give this hot air a path to escape at a high point and give cooler air a path to enter at a low point, you can create a continuous natural ventilation loop. Many traditional desert homes in Iran were designed to maximize this, with high ceilings and a central hall that acted as the building's thermal engine. Openings were placed low to the ground to let in cooler air, while high-level vents were put near the ceiling. As the sun and daily life warmed the air inside, it would rise and exit through the high vents. As it left, it created a slight negative pressure, actively pulling fresh, cooler air in from below. This could be supercharged by combining it with other techniques, like a wind catcher acting as a solar chimney. The sun beating on the tower heats the air inside, causing it to rise and exit, which in turn pulls cooler air into the house from below, even on a perfectly still day. Modern architecture is heavily invested in this. The Eastgate Centre in Harar, Zimbabwe, is a famous example, inspired by the self-cooling mounds of African termites. The building uses a massive central atrium that acts as a solar chimney. Hot air rises and is vented out the roof, while cool night air is drawn in at the base and stored in the building's concrete mass. This system uses a tiny fraction of the energy of a conventional building. Some reports claim it's less than 10%. It shows how buildings can effectively breathe on their own. Indian stepwells. Of all the ancient structures built to beat the heat, maybe none are as visually spectacular or as socially profound as the stepwells of India. Known as bowris or valves, these are not just wells. They are magnificent, subterranean architectural wonders that were sources of water, centers of community life, and most importantly, giant passive cooling machines. The problem in this part of the world was the extreme seasonal fluctuation of the water table. During the monsoon, water was everywhere, but during the long, scorching dry season, the water level could drop dramatically. The stepwell was the solution. Architects built massive inverted structures, sometimes plunging more than 10 stories deep into the earth, with a dizzying array of crisscrossing staircases. This allowed people to access the water no matter what level it was at. But their function went far beyond water collection. The stepwells became the cool, beating hearts of their communities. By digging deep, they created a massive, shaded microclimate. The Earth's stable temperature, combined with evaporative cooling from the water at the bottom, meant the air deep inside could be several degrees cooler than the blistering surface. They were, in essence, walk-in air conditioners for the whole village. People would gather on the cool steps to socialize and escape the midday sun. Many were built with extraordinary artistry, featuring ornate pavilions and intricate carvings, effectively turning them into subterranean temples. The Chan Baori in Abaneri is one of the most famous, a breathtaking work of art and a masterpiece of environmental design. The core ideas are central to modern sustainable design, accessing the Earth's stable temperature, using evaporative cooling, and creating comfortable community spaces. The Zpot. Our final technique takes us from the grand scale of architecture to the intimate scale of the household, with a simple but brilliant invention that shows the raw power of evaporative cooling. The Zpot. Originating in ancient Egypt, this device is basically a refrigerator that works without any electricity, a piece of ancient tech so effective it's still being promoted by humanitarian groups today. The Zpot is a perfect summary of the principles we've explored. It's two porous earthenware pots, one inside the other, with the space between them filled with wet sand. Food is placed in the smaller inner pot, which is covered with a damp cloth. Its operation is pure, elegant physics. Water from the sand seeps into the porous clay of the outer pot. As this water is exposed to the dry, warm air, it evaporates. That process pulls heat energy from its surroundings, actively chilling the outer pot. The heat from the inner pot is then transferred to the cool outer pot and wickered away by the continuous evaporation. This process can dramatically lower the temperature inside, keeping vegetables fresh for much longer, sometimes for weeks, depending on the climate, and making water refreshingly cool. While not a building technique itself, the principle of the Zpot is architectural genius. It's the same science that cools a building when air passes over a fountain in a courtyard. It's also the inspiration behind some incredibly innovative modern cooling solutions. An architecture firm's coolant installation is a direct, large-scale application of this idea. By creating a beehive structure of porous terracotta cones and running water over them, they created a beautiful and effective low-tech air conditioner. The Zpot is a powerful symbol of human ingenuity, showing that with a deep understanding of nature, even the simplest materials can create extraordinary results. These 10 techniques are just a glimpse into a vast library of forgotten knowledge. They show us that living in harmony with our climate isn't a new idea, but an ancient art form waiting to be rediscovered. We want to know what you think. Which of these ancient cooling techniques fascinated you the most? Is there a lost technology we missed? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one, and your insights help shape our future explorations. The challenges of a warming planet can feel overwhelming. The solutions often seem complex and expensive. But as we've seen, the past offers a different perspective. It teaches us that the most elegant solutions are often the simplest, born from a deep observation of the natural world. This isn't about abandoning modern technology, but about integrating this timeless wisdom into our contemporary designs. It's about building smarter. By combining passive strategies like thermal mass and natural ventilation with modern materials, we can create buildings that are not only comfortable and beautiful, but also profoundly sustainable. The architects of the past were the original masters of green building. They didn't have a choice. Today we do. And perhaps the wisest choice we can make is to look back, to learn from their genius, and to build a future that is as cool and as clever as our ancient past.